And this is inside the A35 motor that I picked up from Cornwall ages ago. It's had a bit of water ingress and also a bit of transmission fluid gone through the seal, because this seal had partially popped out. This is the clutch side seal, which says 357-T38, and it's an RS seal. It looks like a fairly old one actually. It's got a metal lip on it, which is interesting. But yeah, so that's shot. There's been water in the bearing as well, so that's knackered. The crank looks alright actually. It seems to have survived quite well. It's got a bit of rusty shite all over it, but it's okay. I think I'll be replacing the piston. Because it's an A35, it's already got needle bearings in there, so that's cool, in the small end. What else can I tell you about it? All the other bearings seem alright, and the bearings in the crankcase. If you're ever rebuilding one of these, it's always handy to make note, because there's little shims that come in here. So in this one, and they all fall out, you never know where to put them. On this particular one, there was, as you'd lay them on here one by one, there was a thin shim and then a thicker shim on there, and that one had a shim as well. Now the good thing is they only go on one shaft, these shims, but there was also a little shim thing in there that sort of retains the bearing, which is here, and that will obviously go on the same one. So it's very good to be cautious with these things. This one's especially thick, and you can see where it's got a little line around it. I like to bag things up separately, so it makes it a little bit easier. There was also on here, because it's a wide groove in there, they had two circlips side by side. I don't know if that's how you're supposed to do it, but interesting nonetheless. What else can I tell you about it? That's about it for now really. I'm going to be rebuilding it and hopefully getting a dating certificate for the blue A35, and away we go with that. Oh, one other thing, the bolts that hold the crankcase together and the transmission cover on are M6 Allen head screws. I don't know what you call them, like cheese head type things, and they strip out because they're 4.2mm Allen, and I cannot find a 4.2mm Allen key, so they're quite terrible. I've had to drill two of those out, so it's quite handy to have like a stud extractor, which I've got over here just to show you. So you drill a hole, screw one of these are reverse thread. I use a little adjustable for it because they've got square ends on them. So you screw one of those in and then just keep screwing, and it'll undo it, hopefully. It's worked the 2 times I've ever used it. So yeah, I'm going to get some bits for this, rebuild it, and hopefully we'll have a decent working A35, which is nice. So here's a gasket I've cut out. I've been using big scissors for the larger bits and nail scissors for the smaller bits, and you can cut out the holes with nail scissors as well. You can also get a punch that will do it, but you have to have punches in different sizes, and I do have some somewhere, but I don't have anything to punch them onto, and doing it on the kitchen worktop wouldn't be a good idea, wife-wise. So yeah, that's the old gasket with the new one underneath. Now this bit here is a little bit narrow because I didn't realise it had actually cut some of it off on the scanner because I had it too near the edge trying to save paper. So that was a little bit silly, but I should be able to make that work hopefully. So I'm going to install it like that, and then use a razor blade to cut the top bit off there. That's sort of how they come when you buy new ones, but because I'm recycling them and making new ones out of the old ones, I have to add these bits back in. So yeah, just so you can see the holes I've cut. They're not perfect, but as long as they're slightly larger than the original hole, because the last thing you want is screws going in and then bunching up the paper around the edge, because then you won't get a tight fit around it. And as long as they don't go through, there is one somewhere that's quite near, I mean there's not much space around that one, but as long as it doesn't split all the way through anywhere, then it should do its job nicely, hopefully. stud was well and truly in. It seems to be coming out now with a bit of gentle persuasion. Sorted. So this case has actually been abused a bit at some point, and you can see there on the edge I could do, I've sort of chamfered it down a bit in the edge. There's still enough meat on there to be able to get a decent amount of gasket around it, but I can't get much of the old gasket off either. I've been soaking that, and that's the best I can do, so hopefully that'll be okay. So let's get the harps together. Yeah, so unfortunately the top's fine, and then you get around the bottom and there's just not enough gasket there to do anything. Same over here, and under there there's not enough overlap, so I'm gonna have to cut a new gasket, I'm afraid. I was gonna try and like move it down, but it's just too tight. It's bending up here and we're gonna end up tearing something, so that's a bit of a terrible waste when we were doing so well. So a package arrived today from tomoshop.nl. I'll put a link in the description, although that is the link, but yeah, they're really good for bits you can't normally get in England for Tomoses. So I've got this funky fuel line, which will look nice on the blue Tomos, probably. And then also all of this. We've got a cotter pin for the kickstart. Where are you? You're there. Cotter pin for the kickstart. 2 kickstart rubbers because they've got loads of them missing. Reed block gaskets, and most importantly of all, 3 of these. They are the amazing sprag clips or tranny return springs that always snap in A35s. Now they weren't expensive. I can't actually remember how much they were. Let's have a look. Let me check. So these are down on the invoice as beer coupling, which is that one, £1.50, well, €1.50 each. So that's all right, isn't it? So I will now show you how to fit them. For that, you need an A35 main gear situation. Can I get this to focus? I'm wondering. A bit better. No. Okay. Well, anyway, here's your main gear, separated by a chain, or attached by a chain. And then on the bottom of here, you can't really see this very well, can you? I'll tilt it that way a bit. Right, so you see this little pin here, and you probably can't see it, but there's a little hole in there, and basically it goes in that hole, round, and then behind that pin. So I'll get one out and show you. Now they're only tiny little things, these, but that is your transmission return spring. I assume it does what it says, makes your transmission return, but I've no idea. Apparently they run alright without them actually, but I've never tried that either. In fact, I've never had an A35 running in the first place. Anyway, it goes in the little hole in the side, in this groove, runs round and pops behind the little pin. So there it is installed. Oh, I really need some better lighting on here. Here's a better look at it. So goes in that little hole in the side, around, and just pops behind there, and that's that. So now I've got the rest of the engine on the floor down here. Pop it back in there, put the side cover on, and I can get bolting that to the bike, and let's see if we can get her running. So I'm going to be filling this A35 up with this. I could only get it from Halfords, 10W40, 300 millilitres. You can also use Type A or Type F, but they're both hard to get here in England, so I'm going with that. It was 12 quid for 2 litres, and you only need 300 ml. So I'm using this medical syringe, 100 millilitres, with a little tube on it. Unfortunately, the tube's not long enough. But I can get the air out of it this way. And then that way you don't end up with all air in your tube. It does take a little bit of doing to fill this up. There's one, another 2 to do. Well, would you look at that? I've got the engine back on. The engine mounting bolts are only finger tight, so I'm going to need to get to this carb, I think, and it's just easier if you drop the engine. So I've just done them finger tight. The airbox is actually inside the frame, above that bolt you can see, the top engine mounting bolt above the engine. And there's supposed to be like a rubber boot goes across, and I don't have one, so I don't know how I'm going to go on there. I think I might just be able to squeeze in one of those Del Auto black cap style air cleaner things on it, but I don't know, to be honest. I've got a fuel filter on because I don't know what the inside of the tank's like, so I've not scoped it out. I've got that nice new fuel line. Over this side we've got this weird looking coil that made me think it was a CDI model, but it isn't. It's points and condenser. So I don't know what that's about. Somebody had actually cut the earth lead to it at some point as well to cut it off. So I think that might be dead. As you can see, I've just soldered it and taped it with the earth lead. But I may need to swap the other coil onto it from a different bike. The electrics are mainly disconnected. The rear light is a bit poorly. The front light is missing a lens, and all the other electrical bits are disconnected as well. At the bottom end it needs a new rear brake lever. The front brake lever's alright, and that's about it really. So it shouldn't take too much to get it up and working, hopefully. Thanks for watching, guys. There's a link in the description to the A35 rebuild workshop sheet that I've made. There's also a link in the description to the Google Plus if you want to share pictures of your bike or chat about anything else. I'm going to be rebuilding another A35 soon, so I'll show you that in more detail, and I'm off. Thank you very much.